AllFreeCrochet.com. I'm your host Mikey at the wheel as we move on with our crochet along, and we're doing pillows. This is for pillow number 1, and in this video I'm going to take you through the starting and the stopping of doing the front and the back face of these pillows. You're going to ask yourself, why would I ever have chosen the basket weave on material like this, because it's very difficult to see? The answer is actually very simple. When you look at this star that I did, isn't this fabulous? Is that when you do regular double crochet, what happens when you go to stretch it, you can still see the foam that's through it. So if you actually did regular double crochet over a pillow and you put the pillow form on the inside, whites of the pillow would show up in between all the stitches. So I've actually basket weaved in order to hide that and to make this material a lot more thicker and a lot more cooler. So let's get started on making pillow number 1 for the AllFreeCrochet along. Before I take you down to the studio, this is what one of the panels looks like before you actually put it onto a pillow. The reason why I'm putting this part in the video is that I really want you to pay attention and look at this like it's a checkerboard, so you can see that there's squares. Okay, whether the squares are popping out or popping in. And this is the amount of squares that we need to look at when we're doing this product. When you see this, you'll notice that the square's popping out on this side, but on the other side it's actually indentating in. Okay, so what we have here is that when you look at it, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You'll have 8 squares going across, and you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you'll have 7 squares going up, and use that to help monitor yourself. On the very final, as you'll see in the directions, the very final, we just have to repeat the pattern one more time in order to make it to have 3. What we're looking for is every time we're doing a transition, we need to have 3 ridges that separate each one of these out. And that's how you know that you need to start switching your pattern in order to make the basket weave go in the other direction. And so you just have to look for 3. So when we started off, even though we're going to start off with the double crochet down at the bottom, we still have 3 ridges down here. So therefore we have to have the 3 up here before we can classify this as being done. And you'll be very surprised on how fast this will actually work out. To start off pillow number 1, we're going to need at least 3 balls of the Red Heart Light and Lofty, as you see here. I'm going to switch over to green just to be different. And this one here is Wine. I should actually look at this one. This one's called Sage Stripe. And we're going to get started with that. If you want different colors on both sides, so if you want this side to be green, the other side to be wine, then you're going to need at least 2 colors, because one ball here will only take you 3/4 of the way up on one side, and then you'll need another ball in order to finish it. We're also going to be using a size 10mm or an N crochet hook, just like you see here. Now here's a different one. I prefer bamboo over the resin any day, and I noticed here, see how the gap is not very deep? I noticed that my stitches kept dropping off and was driving me nuts, but then what I got was a resin one here, and it fits in this groove very nicely, and it avoided so much of my own frustration. So if you're looking at a good crochet hook for this particular project, I'd look one for a nice deep groove in order to avoid a lot of frustration. So now we're going to start off, and let's begin the chain. Okay, we're going to start off with our slip knot, and we're just going to wrap it around our finger twice, taking the back over the forward and taking the back one now up and over. And we have been doing this for a number of years. We're just going to slip on our hook just like this. And some people are commenting that using this yarn is very hard to see the stitches. Let me show you how easy it is, because we're not actually going to be playing with the stitches in the very beginning. We're actually going to be playing with the posts, which makes a huge difference. This never counts as 1, so all I need you to do is chain 37. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I want you to go all the way to 37. We're going to meet back up, and if you can't see your stitches here, I'm going to show you that in just a second. So we'll meet back up in a second, get 37 of these done. So I now have 37 of these done, and I need you to count back to the 4th one. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and I know you probably can't see it, but you can just really, it's just kind of like grouping up into your hand, so it should be able to do it. And we want to double crochet that. Okay, and so we want to double crochet ourselves all the way back to the very beginning of the chain. So just going in, wrapping through. This is the only time in this project that you're going to be working within a stitch. Okay, and so you can just take a look at it. There's the next one right here, and just make sure that you get 2 of the strings on top, 1 on the bottom, in order to be able to do that. And just keep moving along. We'll meet you back up on the other side,
And we're going to do a final count before we release you off, because the next step up is that we're going to start doing the basket weave. I'm now on the very end, and I still have stitches left, but I can't go any further because, like any good crocheter, it's about adapting. And what we need is a total of 34 posts. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what's happened here is that maybe I put in an extra piece somewhere along the path, but I don't need to go all the way to the end. Because this is a pillow, all of this is going to do is that when we go around to do the outside to seal it off, we're just going to tuck this in. This is where we started, and it'll make your life a lot easier instead of having to pull this apart and trying to get it perfect. It's kind of what I did on the other one, but don't tell anybody. So let's turn this material, and we're going to begin doing the basket weave, and we're going to start off by doing the front post first. So when we do basket weaving, we cannot just double crochet up, because what happens is that we're going to double crochet into the post. Therefore, this stitch is going to be smaller. It's going to be tinier than the stitch on the end. So on the end, we always only chain up 2. So 1 and 2. Normally in double crochet we would have done 3. So with basket weaving, we just have to wrap, and we just go in the post and out the post. So in one side, out the other, and we grab the material and double crochet as normal. And we want to do the first 4 like that. So wrap, going in to the next post, out the other side, and double crochet as normal. So you're thinking to yourself, Mikey, you know, you're going to see the pillow stuff in between. Trust me on this, that when you're doing the basket weave, when you do this stitch like this, it's going to compress everything. So you're going to think it's too big at first, but you're going to notice the whole width is going to compress, and you're already starting to see the compression right now happening there. It's getting closer. So that's what's going to happen. So we want to do the first 4 stitches like that. So we're on the front side. So this is a front post double crochet. So now the next 4 are going to be from behind. So we're going to wrap, and we're going to come in from behind, snap it through, and snap it back. So we're on the back side, and we're going to double crochet that on the back side. So that's back post double crochet. So you can see it just pulled it backward. So let's do the next one. So wrap through the back, snap it back out, because we only want the post. Okay, so that was 2, and we only want to do 4. So the 34, what happens is where did I get the count of 34 from? I'm just going to talk to you while I'm doing this. Is that every basket formation here is in groups of 4. And so you're thinking to yourself, well, there's 8 boxes across, why didn't you go 32? And the reason for it is that the very end one has to have 1 left over so that you can move up and down the stitches. So now that you got 4 in behind, the next 4 are going to be in front. I'm almost thinking with this pattern versus the wine that you're going to see you're going to actually see the basket weave a lot more better than you can see it on the wine. I think the wine is more consistent on coloring. So this one actually might be a lot more cooler. This one reminds me of moss too. So we're working on the front side only. Sorry, I digress. I was admiring the colors here. The Light and Lofty by Red Heart. So we're on the front for 4, and then we go in the back for 4. So that's how all you have to do on this line. Just forward 4, back 4, and well, let's meet up on the edge of this line where I'll show you what you have to do, because the very last stitch is the critical point for being able to move up. Now if you did your homework right, on the last transitioning point with the last box there should be 4 and then 1 left over for your end piece. Everything has to be in groups of 4. If you don't have a group of 4 somewhere, you know you screwed up somewhere. So just keep an eye open for that. So you're thinking to yourself, my word, that's really hard to crochet with this stuff. It's so easy. I actually really like this stuff. It's so bulky. You don't have to worry about more than 1 string. Of the 2 pillows, this is the quicker one of the 2 because the yarn is so bulky and it just really fills out nicely. So I've got my 4 in behind, so now we still have our end piece, and like we started before, we chained up 2, so therefore that's only half double crochet. So we're just going to go right into the top part of the chain, right, not into the gap, but right into the chain, and we're going to half double crochet. And you can see when I pointed out to you that about the lumps, okay, you can see those there. And so we're looking for 3 of these up in a row before we can transition to do the other side of the basket weave. So let's move on to your next step. Simply turn the material. Okay, and this one we're just going to match exactly what you see. So let's chain up 2, 1 and 2. We'll already explain why that is. So if the basket weave is on this side, you want to front post it. If it's on the back, then you want to back post it. So these are for on my side, so I want to front post this. So I'm just going to go into the post from the front and double crochet. Again, the next one, it's from the front. And if you remember in groups of 4, it's really not that hard to figure that out. You're just matching everything that's underneath. We have to match it for at least 3 rows in order for the basket weave to take a good hard long look and to make it work. So the next ones are in behind. You can see that they're in behind because they are in behind. And we're going to just double crochet from behind. Okay, the back post again. So this row is about matching everything up to what you already have below. Okay, so we're just coming in from behind. And again, you know, I'm not really showing you like going in from the behind. I'm just telling you to do it. This stuff is really bulky, but I didn't want to use another yarn in order to prove to you that this is actually easy to work with. So now you can see that there's 2 lumps here. So we only have 1 more to go before we're going to transition to the other side. So this one now it's in front, so we're just going to go in from the front and just continue to go along and match everything that you see. So if it's from the front, match it to the front. If it's in the back, match it to the back. Let's meet up in the end of this line where we'll move up another level. So we're now coming up to the very end of this line, and we've just matched everything basically along the way. And of course the last one, remember, it's a half double crochet, so we just go right into the chain. Don't ever go into the gap. You want to stay into the chain so that it makes it look even. So just half double crochet, remember, it's all the way through all of them. Now we're going to turn it and work our way up. So you see 1 lump, 2, you don't see another one there, so that means that we have to match this 1 more time before we get the final, before we can switch this pattern in order to create the checkerboard effect. So let's begin. We're going to chain up 2. And this is just like we did on the last line. We're just matching everything. So just go along. If it's on the front, match it to the front. If it's on the back, match it to the back. And I'll meet you back up on the other side of this line. And we're going to then switch the pattern. And we're going to start reversing everything on the line in order to make the basket weave effect turn out. So that was the front, and now the next one's the back, and continue that, and we'll meet back up in just a second. We're now coming up to the very end, and you're thinking to yourself, if you're not, I'm going to put it in your brain anyway, that wow, that was kind of a really deep box. It looks a lot deeper than it does in the picture. And the reason for it is that the next round, this whole round that we just did right here, this whole row is actually going to suck down in behind and be part of the transition. So let's finish up. We are going in behind here in the last round. The last section here, and then in the end we just want to half double crochet into the chain. So now we are ready to transition by reversing the pattern, meaning that we're going to start grabbing everything to create the box look. You can see that there's 3 lumps now. Okay, 3. So you know you're ready. So let's turn. Wow, I really like the colors. I really like the one on this one. So we're now going to chain up 2 as we did before. So the rule is now, on this line, everything that is on the front is on the back. It's like your little kid sister or brother teasing you that whatever you say is opposite. So if it's on the front, we're going to double crochet and we're going to come it from the back. And that's going to suck that back. And we're just going to double crochet. So if it's on the front, we're going to come from the back. And this is the beginning of transitioning the pattern to create the box, and you can see that a lump is already starting to form in the front. I think a lump is probably not the right word, but you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so we have that lump is in the front, and now so this one's in the back, so now this one we grab from the front. So whatever is there, we're just putting in the opposite over above it, and that's all you got to do for this line. So just do that along. We'll meet back up at the end of the line and we'll move up again. And look how much material has already been done. Like, look, like this is how fast these pillows work up. It's actually pretty amazing. So I'll meet you back up. Just remember to do everything opposite. Okay, we're now coming up to the end, and this was the everything was opposite line. So if it was on the front, it now goes on the back, and vice versa. And we're now on the very end. We have our last chain piece there, and we want to half double crochet that as we have been all along. So we're really primarily looking for these lumps, and now you don't see any more lumps there because we're now coming out towards you, and the lumps have now started forming here, and this is what's creating the whole box look that one you have, and you can see that it's starting to become very three-dimensional. Let's turn this material, and in this row we want to match everything that's already there. So if it's on the back, it stays on the back, and if it's on the front, it's on the front. So it's starting up, chaining 2, and the first ones here are on the back, so we want to come in from behind and do the back post double crochet. And this whole line is just basically like we've already taught before. What's on back stays on the back, what's on the front stays on the front. And do this whole row, and we'll meet back up on the other side, and we'll continue along on this project. We're now coming up to the end here, and what was on the front stays on the front, what was on the back stays on the back for this round, or for this row. And we want to half double crochet the end, as always. And now we're turning it again, and we're looking. Let's look for those lumps. Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3, and then over here you got 1 and 2. So that means that you got to go again. I knew you had to go again. I just want to give you a really good visual so that you can do this on your own without having to turn on a video. So 1 and 2 again, and what's on the back stays on the back because we don't have enough lumps to do the transition to go back the other direction. And so we're just going to maintain what's on the back is on the back, and what's on the front is on the front for this particular row. So let's maintain that. We'll meet you back up, and this will be the last time. You can already see that the third one is starting to form, so that means that the next one going back across is going to be our transition as we transition to get to doing it the other direction to create the next box going up in the next direction. Okay, we're now coming to the end. Look how far we've gotten already. And so we're going to be on the front side because it was on the front. We're just matching what you already saw. Half double crochet again in the edge, chain, and we are ready. Now we're going to turn it, and again we're looking for those lumps. So now you can actually physically see 3. So you got 1, 2, and 3. So we're now ready to transition. So this is where I'm going to leave you for the rest of your project. I'm just going to get you started here. You want a total of 7 of these little boxes going up, and then you realize that you're done. And make sure that at the end you just want to make an extra row so that you do have your 3 lumps. Okay, so you are looking for your 3 lumps all the way through this project. So let's transition up. So 1, 2, and so we're now ready to transition back in the other direction. So what is on the back comes to the front, and vice versa. So these are on the back. So we want to double crochet on the front of this post now. So we just want to reverse everything that you see to be able to create the transition. So I need you to create 2 of these, and what we're going to do now is we're going to meet back up in a week from this time, from the release of this video, and we're going to be able to seal off this particular pillow, and so that you can then finish off your project. You're going to find these are a lot of fun. You might want to do more than one. I've done, I think, 5 already, so I just am addicted to the process. I think it's a lot of fun, and again on this round we are reversing everything that you see. So just keep moving along in this project. You'll find that this goes pretty quick. This one is the quicker one to complete of the 2. I think the yarn is easier to work with than the other one. It's less tiresome, I guess. And but overall, really quite a great project. So we'll see you in about a week from this time of the release of this video, where we'll make up and we'll actually seal this into the pillow, and then your project will be considered complete. Till next time, on behalf of AllFreeCrochet.com, I'm your host, Mikey.